I know what you're thinking, another deathbed story, right? But this one is different. My story isn't just about dying, it's about returning with a purpose, a message from Jesus that I have to share. I didn't choose to come back. I didn't even know why I was here. All I knew was that I had a second chance, a chance to do something with the life I'd wasted. And let me tell you, it's a journey I'll never forget. This is the story of how I returned from the other side and the message I brought with me. But it's not just my story. It's a message for everyone who needs to hear it. I've always thought of myself as someone who could handle anything life threw my way. Maybe it was the pride of youth, or maybe it was my career that kept me going, one of the top lawyers in the city, or at least that's what I convinced myself of. But at 29, I was already feeling the weight of it all. The flashy lifestyle, the late nights, the constant striving for more, it was suffocating. Somewhere along the way, I stopped living for anything other than myself. My name is Sarah, and I wasn't always the woman you see today. In truth, I wasn't happy. I didn't understand love. I didn't understand peace. I didn't even know who I was anymore. And I didn't care because I had a goal, make money, get ahead, and never look back. The rest of the world, it didn't matter. At least, that's what I thought. It wasn't until that night, the night that changed everything, that I realized just how wrong I had been. It had been a long day in court, another high-profile case, another group of powerful clients. I wasn't going home just yet. A few drinks with colleagues, nothing too wild, just enough to wind down. The rain had started falling when I left the bar, and the roads were slick with the water. But I didn't care. I was in control. I was used to rushing around, always on the go. The night was mine to conquer, just like everything else. Then, in the blink of an eye, everything changed. I don't remember the exact moment it happened. One minute, I was driving down the wet streets, and the next, my car was spinning out of control. I slammed into something, maybe a guardrail, maybe another vehicle, I don't know. Everything went black. But in that instant, I felt like I was being pulled away from my body. I felt as though I was floating, leaving the pain behind me. And when I finally lost consciousness, I thought it was over. I thought my life had ended. When I woke up, it wasn't in a hospital room. It wasn't in a world I recognized. I was in a place that can't be described with words, a space beyond time and place. I had no sense of self, no connection to the earth, just darkness. But there was a calmness to it, a peace that filled me in a way I couldn't explain. I didn't know where I was or why I was there, but I didn't feel afraid. I felt at home. Then I saw him. A figure appeared before me, a man whose light seemed to break through the darkness. His presence was overwhelming, but I couldn't look away. He was standing before me with eyes full of compassion, yet there was an authority in his gaze. The moment I saw him, I knew who he was, Jesus. "Sarah," he said, his voice like a whisper, yet it resonated deep within me. "I have a message for you." It was strange hearing my name from his lips. It was almost like he knew me better than I knew myself. He continued, and his words weren't just sounds, they were truth, profound truth that wrapped around me, deep within my soul. "You've spent your life running from yourself, from the truth. But now, I'm giving you a second chance. You've been spared for a reason. You have work to do, and I'm sending you back to fulfill that purpose." I wanted to ask questions. I wanted to know why. But before I could speak, he raised his hand. "You must return, Sarah. There's someone waiting for you, someone who needs your help. But more importantly, you need to help yourself first." And with that, he was gone. The darkness swallowed his form, and I felt myself being pulled back toward the physical world. I woke up in a hospital bed. The sterile smell of antiseptic, the beeping of machines, it all felt so alien. I wasn't supposed to be here. The doctors had said it was a miracle. I had been in a coma for weeks, my body mangled in the wreckage. But I was alive. I was alive. The first few days were a blur of pain and confusion. I had a lot of questions, but no answers. I wasn't sure what had happened to me. But there was one thing I knew. I had to fulfill the task Jesus had given me. The days in the hospital were long, and it was hard to move, to think clearly. But I kept remembering the words Jesus had spoken to me. "You have work to do." At first, I didn't know where to start. My life had been about achievements and success, but none of that mattered now. I was given a second chance. The first step was obvious. Reconcile with the people I had hurt, the ones I had pushed away. Family, friends, colleagues. I owed them all an apology. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to face the damage I had done, but I did it. One conversation at a time, and with every apology, every tear, I felt a sense of healing. But it wasn't enough. Jesus wanted more from me. At this point in my journey, I realized something profound. Life isn't about what you've done, it's about what you do next. If this message resonates with you, if you're feeling lost or disconnected, I ask you to take a moment to reflect. Are you truly living the life you're meant to live? Take a step toward your purpose. Like this video, comment below with your thoughts and subscribe to stay connected. This is just the beginning, and together we can all find the path we're meant to walk. I didn't know what came next, but I knew I couldn't return to my old life. I had to start over. So I left my job, my apartment, everything I had built. I moved to a small town and started working with a local outreach program, helping people who were just like I had been, lost, broken, and searching for meaning. Each day felt like a new beginning. I met people who had hit rock bottom, who had lost their way just like I had. I didn't have all the answers, but I knew that I could share my story with them. I could help them see that there was hope, that no matter how far gone you felt, there was a way back. Forgiveness was the hardest thing I had to learn, but it was also the most important. I had to forgive myself before I could truly help others. I had to let go of the shame I had carried for so long. Once I did that, I could see others in a new light. I could see them through Jesus' eyes. I could love them, truly love them, no matter where they had been or what they had done. As I stand here now, looking back at everything I've been through, I am in awe of how far I've come. I was once a woman who was consumed by ambition, blinded by the false promises of success, wealth, and recognition. I thought those things defined who I was, but now I know better. They were just distractions that led me down a path of isolation, confusion, and emptiness. But now, after everything, the accident, the encounter with Jesus, the countless days of struggle and healing, I have found something far more precious. I have found purpose, I have found meaning, and most importantly, I have found a deep, unshakable peace that I never thought was possible. I remember the first time I stepped back into my old life after waking from the coma. I looked around at the familiar buildings, the bustling streets, and yet it all felt foreign. The world I had once fought so hard to succeed in, the world that had consumed me, now seemed irrelevant. I realized that the money I had earned, the accolades I had received, the life I had built, it was all temporary. It wasn't about the things you accumulate or the recognition you gain. It was about the lives you touch, the love you share, and the impact you make in the hearts of others. But the journey didn't end there. In fact, it was only the beginning. After I returned from the brink of death, I had this overwhelming sense that my mission wasn't just to share my story, but to do something tangible, something that would truly reflect the change that had taken place inside me. Jesus didn't send me back to live for myself, but to live for others. So I set out to do just that. I remember my first meeting with the homeless shelter in town where I had volunteered once before, but had never really engaged with the people there. I wasn't interested then. I was too wrapped up in my own self-centered life to notice the people around me who needed help. Now, I was eager to give, to show others that there was more to life than the fleeting satisfaction of success. It wasn't easy. The pain of seeing people who had suffered through the very same kind of struggles I had once faced, addiction, loneliness, hopelessness, hit me hard. I cried with them, laughed with them, and most importantly, I listened to their stories. And in doing so, I saw myself in each of them. I saw the brokenness, the longing for meaning, the desire for a second chance. And I realized, just as I had received that second chance, they too could receive it. They could find hope, they could find love, and they could find Jesus. One of the most profound experiences came when I met a woman named Rachel. She was sitting outside the shelter one cold evening, alone, with nothing but the clothes on her back. I could see the pain in her eyes, the same kind of pain I had once carried, and I felt a pull in my heart. Jesus was calling me to her. I approached Rachel with nothing but kindness in my heart, and after a long conversation, she opened up. She shared her struggles with me, her fears and the demons that had haunted her for years. I didn't have all the answers. I wasn't a pastor, I wasn't a counselor, but I had experienced the power of grace, and I had experienced the overwhelming love of Jesus. I shared that with her, the way it had been shared with me. It was a turning point for Rachel. She stayed in the shelter that night, and over the next few weeks I watched as she slowly began to rebuild her life. She found a job, reconnected with her family, and even started attending church. I'm not saying it was easy. It wasn't. But I saw the transformation in her eyes, the same transformation that had happened to me. She wasn't just surviving anymore, she was truly living. The work wasn't always glamorous. There were nights when I'd come home exhausted, wondering if I was doing enough, if I was really making a difference. But then I'd remember Jesus' words, "You have been spared for a reason. You have work to do." Those words echoed in my mind and they kept me going. I knew I wasn't doing this alone. God was with me every step of the way, guiding me, showing me the path, opening doors when I didn't even know where to turn. And it wasn't just about the people I was helping, it was about the work He was doing in me. Looking back, I see now that my life was never meant to be about personal gain. It wasn't about winning cases or acquiring wealth. It was about serving, loving, and healing. And as I continue on this journey, I realize that my mission is not over. I've touched lives, but I still have so much to do. So many people still need to hear the message that I received, that we are never too far gone, that grace is always available, that there is always hope. And that's why I keep sharing my story. That's why I keep reaching out to those who are hurting, those who have lost their way. Because I know now that the greatest gift I can give is the gift of love, of compassion, of Jesus' message. It's the gift that saved me, and it's the gift that can save others. In the years since my accident, I've seen people change. I've seen lives transformed. But most importantly, I've seen how Jesus' love can reach even the darkest places. And every time I share my story, I see a flicker of hope in someone's eyes, a glimmer of light that tells me they too are starting to believe. I will never forget the moment I came back to life. I will never forget what it felt like to hear Jesus' voice, to see His light, to be embraced by His love. But I also know that the message He gave me wasn't just for me, it's for everyone. It's for you. If you're listening to this now, know that you have a purpose too. You've been given this precious gift of life, and with it comes a responsibility. Don't waste it. Don't let the world's distractions pull you away from what truly matters. Love, kindness, and the pursuit of truth. These are the things that will lead you to the life you were meant to live. If my story has resonated with you, if you feel that there's more for you in life than what you've been living, I ask you to take a step forward. Like this video, comment below with your thoughts, and subscribe to this channel for more stories of hope, redemption, and love. Together, we can all walk the path that leads to something greater. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me.